welcome back to my studio. This is Deb Valder, and I'm excited to bring to you this stencil frame combination. It's a die and a stencil that you use together in combination, and there are just endless possibilities. Today we're going to actually be doing this card, and I'm also going to show you how to do this card right here. But this one right here is absolutely beautiful too. They're just so fast. You can crank them out with ease, and like I said, no time at all. Let me just show you a couple of different options for this one. So this is the one I'm going to show you how to do today. We did it in one of my classes here at the house, and I just love the way it came out. So this one right here we did at our Stamping Saratoga style. It is done with a colored background as opposed to a white on white. And then this one I did in one of my continuing ed classes. It was a black and white class, and I love the way this came out. And last but not least, I used our brand new Lindy's Gang combo. You know, they're in our shop. They're absolutely beautiful. I showed you a couple of cards that I did with these, and that's what I colored these with. There's shine and shimmer to them, are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, very basic on this one. I added some of our little drops, and the same way with this one. Pretty basic, but such a fast, pretty card. So without any further ado, let's get going, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm actually going to show you how to do both of these because this stencil is one that's underneath, and this one is one that's on top. And you'll see what I mean when I go to explain it. All right, so let's grab some of our scrap paper here. I'm just going to turn over one of my sheets. Here we go, and let's bring in our die. So I cut this out with my Vagabond and the stencil. So let me just show you what you get in your stencil. And you know me, when I do one, I do a whole bunch of them. All right, so I just cut out a bunch of these. So this is the way the packaging is, and it comes with a die. And like I said, I just ran this through the Vagabond, and then it also comes with this stencil here. So easy and so pretty. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to take my Hero Arts, and this is one of my favorite colors. It is the Pale Tomato. It's a mid-tone color. I'm going to take one of the blending brushes that we have in the shop, but before I do that, we have to put the stencil on. So I cut this out. I'm going to lay the stencil on right here. I'm going to use some of our awesome little tape here. This is our repositionable tape. Okay, and just lay this on here like that. And I'll put another one down over here. Now that's going to hold it solid while we're actually doing the coloring. So with this one, it's not a monochromatic card, but it's just one color. All right, so for this one, I just used one color, where with this one, when we did this in Stamping Saratoga style, we actually used two colors. So we put on our light base, and then we just accented it with the darker color. Now, if you do this with these brushes, and this is really important, you don't want to press too hard on these because they do have some texture. You see the lines that are in there, and you don't want to lose those lines. You want to keep that captured in your piece. So I'm just gonna brush it on. I'm gonna start at the bottom, and I'm gonna work my way up. And the reason I like doing that is because I want it to be darker at the bottom and then work my way up and make it a little bit lighter on top. Do you see how I did that? Darker on the bottom, lighter on the top. You can do it whichever way you want, but I like having a little bit of texture and tone to this. All right, so dark on the bottom, light on the top, leaving some white too, but you're not losing the little lines that are in there. All right, so there's that one. Just kind of brush it around. And the beauty of these brushes is that they are so soft and so amazingly flexible that you can keep the integrity of these lines in there. All right, so there we go. There's that one. See how I'm keeping some of the white in there? Remember, I'm a white on white kind of person. I just love when that happens. You know, just the white on white. So pretty. All right. There we go. And one more. See how fast that is? And now we're done. That's how easy it is. Now with my brushes, I know some of you have asked and wrote into me and asked, I have one for all my reds, I have one for all my yellows, I have one for all my greens, and all I do is just brush to clean it out, and then I'm good to go for the lightest of the lights and the darkest of the darks. All right, and yes, you can wash them. I've done that before too. So we're going to just take this, and I do label them. So these are all the red ones because they come with a funky little color on them. And I'm not sure why that is, but it just works. All right. So when we take this off, look at how pretty that is. Just absolutely beautiful. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to paint in the green. All right. Just like I did over here, I'm going to take our Altenew pans and I'm just going to pick one of my colored greens. Now with our pans, they do come with a side that has a place for water, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this and start my coloring. All right, it also comes with your little pen. Okay, and I think I will use the lighter green. As you can see, the intensity of the color from these pans is absolutely gorgeous. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and use some of the darker just to kind of shade it up just a little bit from the bottom up, just like we did with the ink pads. I just take from the bottom and go up just to add a little bit of shading to it, giving it a little bit of depth. There. So that part of it is all done. And next what we're going to do is to take and put this one together. So there's a couple of different things. When you cut this out, you have an extra sheet of, not extra sheet, but this cuts out your center right here. So if you wanted to raise this up, you could. If you wanted to just keep this for another card, you could also do that also. But also if you've made a mistake on this, like if you stamp directly onto your card base, you can actually use this as a mistake fixer and just lay this in here after you've stamped it over here. But I always say give it a shot and see if you can get it to work the first time inside here, which is really easy to do. But the first thing I'm going to do is to take and put some of my foam squares on here. So you know we have thin and thick foam squares in the shop now. These are the thin black, these are the thin white, and I'm going to use the thin white right now just to make it so it doesn't pop up a whole lot. And in our packets, we have a sheet of the full size, and we have a sheet of the little tiny ones. And I'm going to use the little tiny ones on this. All right, so let me grab these. And where I can put full ones, I will, and some of them I will cut in little pieces. Now, don't be stingy on the foam squares, because you definitely want to make sure that you have enough so that nothing kind of caves in. It just is worth putting the extra ones on here. You've got a lot of dimension on here, and you want to keep that. All right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and just cut up. I leave them on my sheet. Okay, I leave them right there on my sheet. And just put on half ones here because we don't want them showing on the outside. Now you are going to see on my next card that I do use the black ones. Okay, so now let's just take off all the little extra pieces. And this white on white look is just so very, very pretty. You can certainly add another layer to it to give it that background look. You can add some designer paper on the back of it. And you don't have to take out all of these, just make sure you have the most critical ones. This is just like a space saver so that it doesn't cave in. So I like taking them all off, but you don't have to. I think we got most of them. Yeah. All right, so let's take our card base and just add that to the bottom here. There we go. isn't that so, so, so pretty? I just love the way that looks, the white on white, and then with this pale tomato, it just pops right out. All right, so there's that. And then we're going to take our sentiment, which is from Impression Obsessions, and that's in our shop. And we're going to just ink that up in the middle. Now, I like to put it toward the bottom because I want to make sure that I have enough room at the top for my little Nuvo drops, okay? So I'm going to add this down here to the bottom. Okay, and then we're going to take our dragon scales and add those to the top. Now the beauty of these Nuvo drops is that you can use them, you have a whole bottle of them, so you can use them forever. So using the Nuvo drops and making your own, it really does make a difference because like I said, you can make them any size that you want. You can make them as many as you want. You can put them on a silicone mat and let them dry and then just start your own little case of them. So I'm just kind of putting a little line of them and I'll set that aside to dry, and that is this card. Isn't it absolutely beautiful? Look at how the colors just pop on this little guy right here. So let's put that one aside, not putting anything on top of the little Nuvo drops here. And as my class members will tell you, I always tell them, do not put it on your dashboard, because if you stop too fast at the red light, you're going to end up with this attached to your windshield. So you don't want that to happen. Just make sure that you take this and put it aside and let it dry. All right? You're going to ask me how long it takes to dry. It depends on how fat you make your little Nuvo drops. All right, so let me just show you one other one. I showed you this one right here. We did that basically the same way, but I used it the landscape way instead of the portrait way, and put our sentiments on here. But you certainly could do it landscape. And the other thing is you can make it go this way, or you can make it go this way depending on how you put it on your card base. All right, so you've got a couple of different options, even with the way you orient your design here on the side. So the next one that I wanted to show you was the nativity scene. So this is what the nativity scene looks like. Okay, this is the same thing. It's got a die and it's got a stencil to go along with it. So what I did on this one was I did the stenciling right on the card base. But when you cut out the die, you cut it out and it cuts out just like this. Let me put it back together for you. So that's what it looks like when you take all the pieces apart. But you can take and put these back together like this. Okay, and that's the way it ends up coming out of the die. Okay, but what I also wanted to show you is that you could take all of these pieces and not throw them away. All right, and the reason I say that is because you can actually take and cut out a blue one and a yellow one, or whatever colors you want, and you can piece them together so that you have another different a different way of doing this. So I just paper pieced all of these pieces back in here and just stamp your little sentiment in there and you're good to go. Do you see how many options you have with this? It's just such a versatile die, and that's what I love to do with these. You know that. With this one, it's a little bit different than the other one. Instead of laying it onto the piece that you cut out, we're actually going to do this on the card base. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to lay this on here. Again, I'm going to use my my awesome little tape right here. Tape it right to my card as if I was centering it top to bottom. I'll put a piece of this here and I'll put a piece of this over here. All right, and then we're going to take, this time we're going to take our yellow brush. All right, I'm going to take some Distressed Oxide inks this time. I'm going to take the Scattered Straw and I'm going to take the Dried Marigold, and I'm going to just brush this on. Now remember what I told you, I always use like all of the yellows. I'm going to use this one, so I only need one brush for this, and I'll start here and just kind of feather it out a little bit. All right, so we're going down and we're getting lighter. We're going to go over here dark and get lighter. Now if this is something that you like I said, you can actually do this and really do a lot of them for the holidays. It's not a hard card and it's not a very time-consuming card. All right, so that's the lighter of the two. Now I'm going to go in Just going to clean this off a little bit, bring in my dried marigold, which is just a little bit darker, and feather this out. Okay, so I'm just keeping the darkness up here in the smaller lines and then just feathering it out a little bit. Okay, so let's just take a peek at this, and what I mean by that is I always kind of lift it up a little bit just to see if it's exactly the way I want it, and if not, I just put it back down and redirect. All right, so remember, this is right on our card base. Oh, so, so, so pretty. All right, so we're going to take that. We're done with the card base. Now I'm going to take the piece that I cut out, and this one's going to be the black one, and what I'm lining up is this piece right here, making sure that it's centered all the way around, but also making sure that that's lined up right there, and then I know it's in the right spot. So with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thin black ones, okay? So I have the thick ones and I have the thin ones. These are the thin ones, all right? And on this, in this packet, also in the shop, you get a sheet of the large ones and a sheet of the small ones. And we're going to take these and we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to turn this over. This is the back side. And I'm just going to take and put my black ones. Now, do you see why I'm using the black ones instead of white ones? Because when you look at it from underneath, you can say, well, the card base is white and the die is black. But when you look underneath, you're not looking at the card base, you're looking at the actual dyed piece, if that makes any sense, okay? I'll put one here, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut my, okay, I'm just cutting up to the, I'm cutting up the layers, just so I have them smaller. And remember, don't be stingy with these little guys, okay? Okay, so let's get this put onto our card base. And remember, the first thing that I'm going to line up is this little guy right there. And then I'm going to make sure that I have it straight going all the way down on both sides and top to bottom. So there's that. Super, super easy, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my words and I'm going to use my Hero Arts Black, okay? And I'm going to stamp the words right here in the middle. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Now there's one more thing that I'd like to do, actually two more things. If you accidentally got some of the, because sometimes you don't realize on the outside of it, you can actually stencil on the outside and you can see it on your frame. Take our little eraser here, it's in the shop, and just erase it with the sand eraser, and you'll get the ink off. It's really kind of easy. I was actually going to do it on purpose and show you, but I forgot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these little squares, and it's cut into quarters now because I cut it in half and then I cut it into a quarter. This right here is actually dipped in. And what I want to do is to show you how you can add this. Now this is in our shop. It's our Tim Holtz poker. I call this the poker. We have pokers, we have pickers, and we have knives now. So what I'm doing is I'm literally taking, and you wonder why you want a retractable one. First of all, it's safer to travel with it with this inside here, but then you have different lengths of it. So people are wondering, why on earth would you ever have it out that far? Well, I'm going to show you why. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to put it in to my little foam square right here. And then, whoops, I have to take the top off. That's why it's not sticking. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is just add it to this. I'm going to lift up this little guy right here and just stick it right underneath there. So that is why, and then I'm going to take this and actually roll it down So that's why it's nice to have a retractable one and one that has different sizes. There are uses for them. I know some people think, well, that's just kind of extravagant to have another poker, but this one is so versatile, and that's what I love. I love being versatile. All right, so then the other thing that's in our shop is our Nuvo drops, and this one is the Golden Sunset, and I just loved the way it paired up with my Hero Arts colored ink, and I'm just going to do that right here in the middle because you know me, I love little bling. All right, so this is Golden Sunset, and that is our card. So we have this one, which is the nativity scene. So very pretty. You could even add some of those little Nuvo drops over here like we did one of the other ones. So there's that one. Remember, I've done, let me just find the card that we just did that is drying. Okay, so here's the one we did with the tulips. And then we did, so this is the one I did with the nativity. And then here is the one that we did with the holly. So they're very versatile. Like I said, just such pretty cards, and you can do so much with them. They're fast. They're very fast. So hop on over to our shop at www.teaspoonofun.com/shop, and you can just find all of these products in there. You take care. Have a great day. And if you ever need any help, you know how to get a hold of me. Thanks for stopping by.